And good afternoon, everyone. And thank you for being here today. And I want to welcome to City Hall the Texas Transportation Commissioner, Lori Ryan. So it's good to have you. And also with us is Elijah Paul. Good to have you. And then right behind me, of course, is Director Carol Haddock, Councilmember at Large David Robinson, and Mr. Gervich, I believe, is present, and he'll be introduced a little bit later on as well. We're here with a common purpose. We're going to do two things today. We'll have this one first in terms of our streets and roads, and then we will segue into a report on COVID-19. So we're here with a common purpose urging Houstonians, and all Texans to drive safely on our roads. It is the difference between life and death, especially as we head into the holiday season. Today, you will hear about steps taken by TxDOT and its In the Street campaign and the City of Houston as we highlight our soon-to-be-released Vision Zero Action Plan. As a city, we are working to improve safety for road users of all ages and abilities. We also take the time to acknowledge the impact of every loss and welcome the testimony of families who lost a loved one in separate fatal vehicular crashes. In Houston, traveling on our roads results in over 200 deaths and 1,000 serious injuries each year. That is tragic, and we can prevent people from dying on our roadways. No loss of life is acceptable, and that's why Houston joined the Vision Zero Network, an international movement for safe streets, and our commitment to end traffic deaths and serious injuries on Houston streets by 2030. Vision Zero Houston is a catalyst to shift the way we view mobility, to transform how we design our roads and sidewalks, and how we communicate the value of life over speed. This initiative will serve as the umbrella for the actions we are taking to improve our street safety. Later this month, the Planning and Development Department will announce the Vision Zero Action Plan that balances the analysis of 5 years' worth of data and ongoing community engagement to tell the story of Houston's roads and streets. This strategy draws from input from multiple city departments and partner agencies, including planning, Houston Public Works, the Health Department, Police, Fire, the Office of Persons with Disabilities, as well as our partners at Harris County, Metro, Social Justice and Multimodal Transportation Advocates, the private sector, and more. We found that nearly 60% of our crashes occur on 6% of our streets. Of those 6% of streets that account for 60% of traffic deaths and serious injuries, 62% of those streets are in our minority and low-income communities. 1/3 of traffic deaths involve a pedestrian, even though less than 2% of residents walk to work. So we start by prioritizing safety of vulnerable road users, like people walking and using a wheelchair. In our public engagement efforts, nearly 1,500 Houstonians used our interactive map to drop a pin on intersections where they feel unsafe. And despite taking all of the public engagements online during the pandemic, Houstonians still showed that road safety is a priority. Residents commented on the action plan, took our safety survey, and signed the pledge. And even though the plan is going to be released soon, we want more comments, pins, and pledges. Among our 13 Vision Zero priority actions are redesigning 10 high-injury traffic locations and implementing construction within the following fiscal year. We also plan to construct at least 50 miles of sidewalks a year and at least 25 miles of high-comfort bicycle facilities each year. But strategies and numbers aside, the work we do is focused on saving lives, and we are all united by the same goal. Now let me pause now and invite Commissioner Laura Ryan to tell us more about the issues on the statewide level and TxDOT's In the Street campaign. Commissioner Ryan, it's a pleasure to have you here at City Hall today. And now let me turn the platform over to you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor Turner, for the invitation and hosting this event. And most importantly, thank you to the city's commitment to save lives and end the streak of daily death on Texas roads. On November 7th, Texas will mark a heartbreaking milestone. Sadly, this Saturday will be the 20th anniversary of the last deathless day on Texas roads. Here's what that statement really means. Every day for the last 20 years, someone has lost his or her life in a traffic crash. Every day for the past 7,300 days, somebody has lost a mother or a father or a child in a traffic crash. And every day for nearly 2 decades, somebody's family has had to learn to live without them. Earlier this year, during the height of the COVID-19 pandemic, we had hoped that we were on our way to avoiding that anniversary and to ending that pain. Traffic levels on Texas highways dropped nearly 44% in some parts of the state, and it looked as if we were finally on the road to zero. But while traffic was down, fatalities did not follow. In fact, Texans keep dying in traffic crashes every day. As of October 30th, we have already had more than 3,000 traffic fatalities on state roads. 3,000. Let me put this into perspective just a little bit. Today is November 5th, 2020. On this date in 2018 and 2019, we were under the 3,000 fatality count. Actually, we were under 2,900 on this day in both 2018 and 2019. To be more direct, the deaths are not stopping. Even with the continued education, design changes, safety enhancements, and increased awareness to the deadly behaviors. Sadly, we know exactly why Texans are dying on our roads. There are several culprits. However, the most common are speeding, driving under the influence of alcohol or drugs, driving while distracted, and not wearing a seatbelt. Last year, 715 people were killed in speeding crashes. 1 out of every 4 deaths were caused by drunk driving. Distracted driving killed close to 380 people. 661 pedestrians were killed in crashes, and 925 unbuckled people died in traffic crashes. Like I said, we know why Texans are dying in crashes. However, we have to figure out how to stop it from happening. It's a shared responsibility. It will take each of us working together. At TxDOT, we are working hard to improve and to understand all that we can do to make our roads more forgiving and safer. Last year, the Transportation Commission adopted 2 significant goals. The first one was to reduce fatalities in half by 2035, and the second, to have 0 traffic fatalities by 2050. We took immediate action towards achieving these goals, with the Commission dedicated an additional $600 million in the effort over the next 2 years. In addition to the standard safety practices, TxDOT is putting these funds to the highest and best use quickly by widening specific roads and increasing shoulder width, adding rumble strips to alert drivers to slow down or make correction if they are veering out of their lane, adding lighting and turn lanes in specific intersections, and deploying new technology in our roadways that will increase safety. I assure you that all 12,000 plus employees at TxDOT are committed to ending the streak of daily deaths. And fortunately, in our Houston region, we have Eliza Paul, our Houston District Engineer, and she's leading these efforts. And I'll ask her to come up and share some details specific to the Houston region.
As Commissioner Ryan has stated, the TxDOT Houston District is committed to helping end the streak of daily deaths on Texas roadways. We cannot talk enough about that there has not been one deathless day on the Texas road since November 7, 2000. If you think about this, children that were born in the year 2000 are not children anymore, and they have experienced many milestones in their lives, such as birthdays, teenage years, homecomings, high school graduation, getting their first car, college, and more. But what they don't know is that they have yet to experience a deathless day in Texas. Therefore, it is why TxDOT stands here today with Commissioner Ryan and Mayor Turner and Mr. Eric Gerbic asking you to stay committed to helping us end the streak. So how can you do that? So let us talk about a couple of statistics first. Last year in the Houston area, 109 people were killed in speeding on the roadway. 43 people were killed in distracted driving. 128 were killed from not wearing seatbelts. And the leading cause of death is driving under the influence, the DUI-related crashes, which took the life of about 243 people. So now let's talk about some actions that we can do. With a portion of the $600 million in additional funding from Texas Transportation Commission, the TxDOT Houston District has already allocated over $27 million towards several projects across our 6-county region. So in 3 of the projects, what we're doing is we're installing a raised median barrier in the middle of the freeway. So these 3 projects are on State Highway 105 in Montgomery County, on FM 1962, both in the Fort Bend and also the Harris County. So there's some other Houston project one of them is installing a pedestrian barrier mounted on a concrete traffic barrier on the portion of I-45 and 69. On I-45 is from Tidwell to Westboro, and on I-69 is from Chimney Rock to Bissonnette. We are also updating some traffic signals on State Highway 36 in Fort Bend County. So what these projects are doing for us, what they're doing is reducing head-on collision and also pedestrian and intersection crashes, reducing pedestrians from crossing the freeway. The third one is reducing wrong-way driving crashes. So there are some other programs that TxDOT is trying to do. For example, we're putting the speed limit on the DMS signs. The other thing that we're doing is we're putting some public service announcement on our DMS sign, like don't let your friends drive drunk, or our click it or ticket campaign. So at this time, I would like to turn it over to City of Houston Public Works Director Carol Haddett, who along with TxDOT and several other partners, such as the Texas Transportation Institute, TTI, Bicyclist Interest Group, cities and local government agencies that make up the Houston-Galveston Area Council, HGAC, Safety Task Force, who are not only committed to the end of street campaigning, but they also have their very own Vision Zero initiative. So please help me welcome Director Haddock to the podium.
Good afternoon. I'm Carol Haddock, Director of Houston Public Works. I'm standing here today representing both Public Works and our Planning Department, Director Margaret Wallace-Brown, in talking about Vision Zero and talking about what the city is doing. There's a portion of what we do on a daily basis that is planning for, taking input for, and designing and building infrastructure and making sure that it is built in a way that all of our users can use it safely. And so when we look at something like Vision Zero, I will promise you it makes the engineers nervous because it's a goal of zero. But in reality, it is absolutely the right goal for the city of Houston to adopt. It is unacceptable that we have people die on our roadways, whether they're in a car or on their feet or on bikes. And we need to do everything that we can do to address that. And it's going to take both of us. So at Houston Public Works, we recognize that we're that strong foundation that people live in Houston, and that includes everybody. As Mayor Turner mentioned, we are focused on 12 intersections that were identified by the community where there were concerns raised about the ability for pedestrians and bicyclists to get through. We've focused on those 12 intersections. We've been working on whether they need to be retrofitted, whether they need to be rebuilt, to really provide that safe area for our entire community to get through those areas. But we've also expanded beyond individual intersections. We've actually taken the mayor's street rehabilitation initiative program and taken it to the next level. Used to be when we rehabilitated a street, we really rehabilitated the pavement for the cars. But we've actually expanded that anytime we go into an area now, we are addressing the sidewalks. We're making sure that we rehabilitate the sidewalks, that if we're missing curb ramps, that we're adding those curb ramps at the time. That we're addressing access to transit, that we're accessing every way, that we're making sure that every way that people use our corridors, that we're addressing those ways so that Vision Zero can be attained at the street level. I will tell you that while some of these intersections were advanced through retrofit activities or rehabilitation activities, we also recognize that we have a significant component through our capital improvement plan, where we reconstruct entire streets. And so over the next couple of years, you're going to see, as we get into final design of our streets, where we go back and revisit plans that we've had in the books for a while. If we were proposing to go from 4 lanes to 6 lanes, we may be looking back and saying, you know what? We need to be back at 4 lanes with improved transit and better pedestrian areas in those. And so we're actually challenging ourselves in the way we design and build infrastructure to be able to attain the goals of Vision Zero, so that we cannot be here a year from now to observe the 21st anniversary where no one dies on our roadways. We're gonna commit to making sure that Houston does its part in making sure with that. The last piece I want to talk about is our partnership with the community. The commissioner and District Engineer Paul both talked about the people that are using our infrastructure have their part. I want to particularly emphasize the during construction piece. When we have roadways that are in construction, things aren't the way you normally see them. You've got barrels, you've got lanes that are narrower than normal, you've got people that are moving out of their way in ways that they don't normally do it. And so we're asking that in addition to behaving in a normal day, that during construction that you take extra care to make sure you take care of our workers and you take care of yourself so you can go home safely, every day. So in closing, Houston Public Works, the Planning Department, the City of Houston stand in solid partnership with our partners at TxDOT, at Metro, at all our local transportation advocates to make sure that we can achieve Vision Zero and that we are not marking another anniversary a year from now.
Thank you, Director Hallett. We look forward to continue our partnership with you, and thank you for continued commitment to this important cause. Thank you. Now, we must stay committed in striving to change the behavior from all angles, because for every statistics that we just mentioned, there is a grieving family behind each of these numbers. Mourning the loss of birthdays, future birthdays, anniversaries, weddings, first day of school, college, and graduations. And this afternoon, Houston resident Mr. Eric Gerbic is joining us here. In 2013, his 24-year-old son, Chase Gerbic, was killed in a crash when a drunk driver ran a red light. So Mr. Gerbic has since then forgiven the drunk driver in court, but the loss of his son will stay with him for the rest of his life. So now Eric hopes to help prevent further drunk drivers crashes by sharing his family story with all of us. So please join me in welcome Mr. Gerbic to the podium.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, Mayor Turner, Adam Hammonds, and all of the TxDOT organization. This has been tragic for 20 years. Our roadways are not getting any better. I feel for everyone affected. It's not only our families, it's our friends, our coworkers, and so many others. Chase was my boy. He did everything, and we were best friends. My little boy was taken from me tragically. How it happened, I won't go into it right now. Everything that they have explained about what we should do and what we shouldn't do, I have a plan that I feel would help in the restaurant industry. It's not going to help everything, but it is going to help. And I was told not to bring up that plan, so I'm not going to bring it up. I'll go ahead and talk about it afterwards. I worked for Pappas for over 16 years, and a policy we had in place actually helped and worked, and I think that every restaurant in the state of Texas should adopt this. And if I have to spend my own money to go to Austin and lobby this, I will. It's a fourth round drink check. You never you never get over your son. I will never see Chase go through, he will never get to open a restaurant. We are reopening my restaurant for Chase. It's very hard. I have so much stuff. It's really hard. It's really hard to get into. You know, the one thing I can say is that I did forgive the kid. The kid that killed my son was a 24-year-old, and he had young kids. And so I thought to myself, you're going to put this kid in jail. You're going to put him in for 25 years, okay? So there you go. So now this young man, that's my son's age, made a mistake. We all make mistakes. I'm not saying they're good, they're bad, but he made a bad mistake. So if I put him in jail for 25 years, he's not going to see his kids. Is this, when do we stop that? We've got to do something else. That's why I'm thinking of the fourth drink round check and things of that nature to try to help us. Chase was a great kid. He was an ex-Marine. He actually pulled somebody out of a burning car on the freeway. If I stand here any longer, I will just break down and cry. So I don't know what else to say, but this has got to stop. There's got to be some policies with everything that they've said, which is absolutely true. But I also think I have a great plan for the restaurant industry. That's what I'm in, and I think it would be a big help, and it would stop. And I bet if you did the numbers and the statistics, you would find out that this plan would help in the state of Texas. God bless Chase. Thank you very much, Mayor Turner. Thank you very much, TxDOT. I love all you guys, and God bless you, Chase.
Mr. Gerber, let me thank you. Let me thank you for your presence here today and for representing your son Chase. Very much appreciate that. I know he's proud of you and for what you're doing. And your presence here today and your words and deeply felt. And I believe your words and your presence will make a huge difference. So thank you for mustering the courage to be present. All of what we are saying today and what we are doing is simply to say that we don't need to lose another single person. Quite frankly, you don't just lose one, you lose more than one, and more than one family is impacted. And it gives even greater meaning why we all need to help to end the streak in Texas. And it's one of the reasons why the city of Houston is engaging on its Vision Zero campaign. So the holiday season is quickly approaching. And let me remind everyone that we must be vigilant about our mindset and behavior when we are behind the wheel. We challenge Houstonians to visit the Houston Vision Zero website, and let's talk Houston to slash these events, incidents that are happening on our roads. And so, Commissioner Ryan, I'll bring you back, and then we'll take any questions that any of you may have as it relates to what we have said today. Commissioner Ryan, you want to come? Any questions?
Thank you, Mr. Gerber, thank you. It is families like yours that make this important to me. Over the past few years, I've heard one story after another, and it's definitely left an impact on my heart and my mind. We can all do something so that others don't have to face another holiday dinner table with an empty chair. This is a Texas responsibility, and every Texan is empowered to be a part of the solution. So here's what I'm asking every Texan and every Houstonian to do. First, be responsible. Buckle up every rider and every ride. Save talking and texting for later and not while you're behind the wheel. Please do not drive if you've been drinking or using any other form of drugs. If you ride a bike on Texas roads, Please remember that traffic laws apply and stay alert and visible to the drivers in the car. If you walk, cross at intersections and crosswalks and stay again visible to drivers from a defensive standpoint. Number 2, each of us must use our influence to help get the word out on social media or face-to-face and educate everyone that you know about the preventable behaviors that will help Texas end this deadly streak, and use the hashtag #EndTheStreakTexas. 90% of those fatalities could have been changed. Number 3, help us by taking the Texas Tag 10 Challenge. Get 10 of your friends and tag them. Ask them to tag 10 more. We have the ability to create a wave of commitment. We have the ability to change this. And lastly, stand with Mayor Turner and the leaders of Houston to embrace the city's Vision Zero initiative. Harris County, which Houston is a significant portion of, is one of only 2 counties with year-to-date fatalities over 200 deaths. Houston is key to helping Texas end this streak. With the leadership of Mayor Turner and the local leaders, I know Houston will be doing the right thing and will lead the state by committing to change the deadly yet preventable behaviors that contribute to daily deaths on our roads. Texas, we can end this streak. Houston, we can live Vision Zero. It's up to us. It truly is in our hands. We are each a part of the solution, and I'm committed to not let another Texas family down. Thank you.